You were never supposed to be bored in 1970s America. Teenagers did not have smartphones. There was no internet, no endless streaming libraries waiting in their pockets. Yet somehow, boredom seemed less common than it feels today. That sounds strange now, but at the time it felt completely normal. The reason was not that life was easier. It was not that teenagers were tougher or wiser. The real difference was the environment around them. The world itself functioned like a giant playground that nobody consciously designed but everyone naturally used. Back then, staying inside all day felt unusual. Movement was expected. Picture a bedroom just before sunrise. Wood-paneled walls. A clock radio buzzing softly beside the bed. Red numbers glowing in the dark, while the local AM station fades in through static. A familiar voice greets the morning like a quiet companion. You wait for a song. You do not know when it will arrive. Your finger hovers over a cassette recorder, ready to capture it. Too early, too late. The DJ talks over the opening again. You sigh and hope tomorrow might be better. Small disappointment. Small excitement. Moments like that quietly turned into memories. Music did not live in your pocket. You had to chase it, and chasing something always made it feel more alive. After school, almost nobody stayed home. There was always movement somewhere nearby. Bicycles leaned against fences. Skateboards rattled across cracked sidewalks. Someone's older sibling pulled up in a loud car that instantly felt impossibly cool. A ride meant freedom. A bus ride could mean adventure. A bicycle meant independence measured in miles rather than notifications. Plans were rarely necessary. You simply went outside because eventually something interesting would happen. And then there was the mall. Not just a place to shop, a small universe. Escalators hummed endlessly. Neon lights reflected off polished floors. The smell of pretzels, pizza slices, and cheap perfume mixed together into something strangely unforgettable. Teenagers walked slow circles through wide hallways, pretending not to search for anyone while secretly hoping to run into someone specific. There were no text messages, no location sharing, just coincidence. And coincidence made every encounter feel cinematic. Near the entrance of many malls, another sound pulled people in before they even saw it. The arcade. Machines clattered constantly. Digital beeps echoed across the room. The metallic sound of quarters dropping into slots created a rhythm that felt almost musical. Inside, the atmosphere felt electric. Crowds gathered around players chasing high scores. Conversation stopped when someone performed well. Respect was earned instantly through skill, not through followers or popularity. A game ended. Someone laughed. Someone tried again, because there was always another machine waiting. Record stores felt almost sacred. The carpet was slightly worn, posters layered over older posters on the walls. A small bell rang every time the door opened. People flipped through vinyl slowly, like they were searching for buried treasure. Listening booths held heavy headphones. Album covers were large enough to study carefully. When you bought a record, you usually listened to the entire thing. Skipping songs was not easy. Saving money for music took time. Maybe from delivering newspapers before school. Maybe from bagging groceries at a local store. Coins were counted carefully on a bedroom floor before walking to the register. The purchase felt meaningful. Outside again, the world continued to offer places to gather. Drive-in theaters glowed at night like small secret cities. Cars parked in long rows while windows stayed cracked open for warm summer air. Popcorn mixed with gasoline and laughter. Teenagers leaned against car doors, pretending to watch the screen while actually watching each other. Movies were social long before they became personal streaming experiences. Saturday mornings brought cartoons and cereal bowls balanced on knees. Siblings argued about which channel to watch, and parents tried to enjoy a quiet cup of coffee. Soon enough, the day pulled everyone outside again. Empty lots turned into football fields. Parks stayed open without locked gates. Side streets became racetracks for bicycles. Children invented games because nobody handed them instructions. And invention rarely leaves room for boredom. Older teenagers had their own rituals, cruising down Main Street with windows open and music playing just loud enough to feel confident. Cars passed the same diner again and again, hoping someone familiar might notice. Gas stations doubled as meeting points. Payphones stood quietly on corners where plans formed quickly and imperfectly. Even a quick run to a convenience store could feel like a small mission. Everything felt small, and everything felt enormous, because you were fully present in the moment. There were no alerts interrupting conversations, no algorithms deciding what mattered next. Waiting shaped emotion. People waited for Friday night football games under bright lights. They waited for concerts, new albums, and weekend plans. That waiting built anticipation. And anticipation turned simple moments into powerful memories. Parents often allowed teenagers to roam freely. The rule was simple: come home when the streetlights turn on. Neighborhoods worked like loose safety nets. Adults watched quietly from front porches, while children tested boundaries and learned independence. Freedom was not announced. It was assumed. That assumption changed everything. School ended, but the day rarely stopped there. Marching bands echoed across cool evening air during football games. Gym dances filled school halls with nervous laughter. The smell of polished floors and squeaking sneakers stayed in the background, while slow songs created awkward but unforgettable moments. Part-time jobs added another layer of independence. Delivering newspapers before sunrise, working summer shifts at diners, mowing lawns for neighbors who paid a few dollars and offered lemonade afterward. Money earned slowly felt heavier in your hand. Each dollar represented time and effort. Freedom had texture, and texture made memories stick. Then, slowly and quietly, things began to change. Cable television expanded entertainment at home. Video cassette recorders allowed movies to repeat endlessly without leaving the couch. Early gaming consoles made bedrooms feel like destinations. Every innovation felt exciting, but each one also pulled a little more life indoors. Record stores struggled as music became digital. Arcades faded as home gaming improved. Drive-in theaters closed across the country. Malls slowly stopped being gathering places. Something else shifted too: fear. News cycles amplified danger. Parents felt pressure to supervise more closely. Independence slowly turned into carefully scheduled activities. Spontaneity began to shrink. It was never one dramatic event. It was thousands of small adjustments. A parking lot becoming off-limits. A youth center closing quietly. A space where teenagers once gathered disappearing without replacement. Eventually, the invisible playground simply vanished. Now imagine standing outside a roller rink at sunset. Neon lights flicker on while music leaks through the doors. Someone laughs behind you. Someone tightens their skates. The night feels endless, even though it will eventually end. That feeling is the real story. Teenagers were rarely bored in the 1970s because boredom requires isolation. In a world full of gathering places, isolation was rare. Physical spaces acted like magnets for young people. Every corner offered the possibility of discovery. Today's teenagers are not less capable. They simply live inside a different environment. Digital options replaced physical destinations. Convenience replaced anticipation. Connection became constant, yet sometimes thinner. And still, nostalgia keeps returning. Vinyl records make comebacks. Retro arcades reopen. Drive-in theaters experience brief revivals. People sense something missing even when they cannot fully explain why. The magic was never just the decade. It was the design of daily life. When spaces invite exploration and freedom, boredom fades naturally. Maybe the real question is not why teenagers were never bored back then. Maybe the real question is whether we could build environments that invite that kind of freedom again. Because once you remember standing under neon lights with coins in your pocket and nowhere specific to be, something shifts. You realize boredom was never the real enemy. Disconnection was. And for a brief moment in time, without realizing it, America accidentally solved it.